that right before a big breakthrough, life suddenly feels heavier, arguments spark, distractions multiply, and people act out of character. September 19 is one of those days. It carries a dangerous test designed to shake chosen ones off their path. If you're not alert, you'll miss the trap waiting in plain sight. There are moments in life that don't feel ordinary, dates that stand out, almost as if they were underlined by the universe itself. September 19 is one of those moments for the chosen ones. It carries a kind of intensity that makes the air feel heavier, the interactions sharper, and the inner voice louder. It's not superstition or fear, it's awareness. Spiritual timelines often align with particular days when your discernment is tested, not because you are weak, but because you're on the brink of something greater. Think of it as a spiritual checkpoint, a pause before the next stage of your journey. Throughout history, significant turning points have often come disguised as ordinary days. Ancient texts tell us about kings who faced betrayal at their dinner tables, prophets who were tested by their closest companions, and visionaries who were ridiculed right before their ideas changed the world. These weren't random events, they were orchestrated moments of testing. In the same way, September 19 is not just another date on the calendar. For those carrying light and vision, it's a day where unseen forces push harder, not to destroy you, but to measure your readiness for the path ahead. This is why it feels urgent. You may notice that in the days leading up to it, emotions start running higher. Conversations that were once smooth may suddenly feel tense. People you trust may act unpredictably. Even your own thoughts may wander into doubt or impatience. It's almost as if the spiritual atmosphere becomes more charged, pulling hidden issues to the surface. These aren't coincidences, they are signs that the test has begun. The real danger isn't in the circumstances themselves, but in how you respond to them. Consider it like an exam you didn't realize you were studying for all year long. Every challenge you've faced, every lesson you've learned, every moment of growth has been preparation for this checkpoint. When the pressure rises, it's not there to crush you, it's there to reveal what's already inside you. September 19 is less about what happens externally and more about what is revealed within you. Do you react with fear, or do you respond with wisdom? Do you allow frustration to control you, or do you stay anchored in peace? Urgency, then, isn't about danger in the traditional sense, it's about opportunity. An opportunity to prove to yourself and to the universe that you are ready for the next level of your calling. Chosen ones aren't defined by avoiding storms, they are defined by how they walk through them. And on September 19, the storm may come in the form of misunderstanding, temptation, betrayal, or distraction. Your task isn't to fear it, it's to recognize it, stand firm, and refuse to fall for the trap. When people hear the word test, they often think of something academic, a paper, a score, a grade, but spiritual tests are very different. They don't arrive with instructions written at the top of a page. They come disguised in the everyday moments of life, and that's what makes September 19 so dangerous for the chosen ones. The test isn't announced. It won't look like a clear choice between right and wrong. Instead, it will appear in ways that feel ordinary, so ordinary that you might miss the fact that it's actually a turning point. The nature of this test is subtle yet piercing. It targets what feels most natural to you, your patterns, your habits, even your weaknesses. For one person, it might come as a sudden opportunity that looks appealing but pulls them away from their real path. For another, it may be a conversation that stirs anger, tempting them to lash out when silence would have carried more power. For someone else, it could be doubt rising up, whispering, "Maybe you're not good enough for this destiny after all." Each version is different, but the purpose is the same: to see if you can hold on to your focus when the distractions grow louder. What makes it dangerous is that it doesn't feel dangerous at first. It feels like a casual moment, an innocent invitation, or a small compromise. That's the genius of these tests. They don't shout, they whisper, and when you're not paying attention, you can walk right into them. A text message from someone you thought you moved on from. A deal that seems too good to be true. A secret being pressed out of you by someone who acts like they care, but really wants to use it against you. These aren't coincidences, they're setups. But here, the empowering truth: a test is not meant to destroy you, it's meant to refine you. Diamonds are formed under pressure, not comfort. A dangerous test is a chance to see how much you've grown, to prove to yourself that you won't fall for the same traps that once held you back. Think about the last time you faced something hard. You may have stumbled, but even then you learned. That learning is exactly why you're stronger now. So on September 19, don't expect the test to come with flashing lights or dramatic warnings. Expect it to come wrapped in the familiar. Expect it to touch the very area you thought you had mastered. And most importantly, remember this: the test isn't there to expose your weakness, it's there to reveal your strength. If you've ever wondered why life seems harder for you than for others, it's not your imagination. Chosen ones walk a path that comes with heavier resistance. The very reason the trap of September 19 is aimed at you is because of the light you carry. You're not random. You're not ordinary. You carry potential that shakes the ground beneath you, and potential like that is always met with opposition. Think of it this way: no one wastes time robbing an empty house. Resistance only comes where value exists. If you weren't carrying something worth protecting, there would be no need for a test or a trap. But because you're stepping into a season of growth, the forces that oppose progress will do everything possible to delay or discourage you. That's why September 19 feels charged. It's not just another day, it's a checkpoint on your way to elevation. There's also a spiritual principle at play here. Every breakthrough requires proving. Before stepping into a greater assignment, you're tested to see if you're ready to carry it. History is full of examples of this. Joseph faced betrayal by his brothers before becoming a ruler. David endured years of opposition before being crowned king. Even in modern life, leaders, innovators, and visionaries often face ridicule or betrayal right before their work impacts the world. The trap doesn't come to random people, it comes to those whose next level carries influence. For the chosen ones, the trap is never about surface issues. It's deeper, it targets identity. If you doubt who you are, you hesitate to step into what you're meant to do. That's why temptations, betrayals, and distractions often attack your confidence. They're designed to make you second-guess your worth and question your destiny. When you give in to that doubt, the enemy doesn't need to destroy your path, you'll walk away from it yourself. But here, the encouragement. The fact that you're being targeted is proof of your significance. The trap itself is evidence of your value. You wouldn't be facing it if you weren't carrying something greater on the other side. That shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of seeing the test as unfair, you can see it as confirmation that you're on the right path. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to say, "Of course me, I must be carrying something powerful." So when September 19 arrives and the test shows its face, don't view it as proof that you're weak or cursed. View it as the world's acknowledgement that you are chosen and that your breakthrough is too important to pass untested. The trap is only proof of the treasure within you. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the atmosphere change, even before a word was spoken? That's what happens during energetic shifts. They aren't always visible, but they are undeniably felt. September 19 carries one of those shifts. It's a day when the atmosphere becomes heavier, sharper, and more spiritually charged. The world might look the same on the outside, but on the inside, the vibration is different. Chosen ones are sensitive to these shifts because they are tuned to higher frequencies. What others dismiss as a weird mood or bad day, you recognize as something more. Around September 19, you may notice your emotions moving in extremes, sudden irritability, bursts of inspiration, or even a sense of unease you can't explain. These aren't random mood swings. They're indicators that spiritual currents are stirring. Just as the ocean tides respond to the pull of the moon, your inner world reacts to these unseen shifts. Signs of this energy shift often show up in subtle patterns: technology glitches, miscommunications, people behaving out of character, plans falling apart at the last minute. Even your sleep may feel disturbed, filled with vivid dreams or restless nights. All of these disruptions are signals that the atmosphere is being stirred. And here's the important part: the disruption isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to alert you. When the air feels charged, it's a reminder to stay watchful. Energy shifts often expose what's been hidden. On September 19, unresolved issues may rise to the surface. Old wounds might feel suddenly fresh again. Someone's true colors may slip through their mask. Opportunities may appear, but not all of them are genuine. The test thrives in these moments of heightened energy because clarity and confusion often walk side by side. If you aren't grounded, you can easily mistake one for the other. Think of it like standing in the middle of a thunderstorm. Lightning flashes, the sky rumbles, and the rain pours. To some, it looks chaotic, But to those paying attention, the storm is cleansing the air, watering the ground, and preparing for growth. The energy shift of September 19 works the same way. It may feel intense, but its purpose is preparation. It's aligning the spiritual atmosphere for the breakthrough waiting on the other side. The key is awareness. If you know the shift is coming, you won't mistake it for bad luck. You won't fall into panic when things feel unstable. Instead, you'll recognize it as confirmation that something bigger is moving. For the chosen ones, awareness is armor. And on September 19, that awareness will keep you steady in the middle of the storm. Long before the trap appears in the physical world, whispers of it often echo in your inner world. Dreams and intuition are the language of the soul, and during critical times like September 19, they become even louder. Many chosen ones experience vivid dreams in the days leading up to a spiritual test. These dreams are not random. They are messages disguised in symbols, giving you insight into what's ahead. For example, betrayal may show up in your dream as a snake in your home, a friend turning their back, or food that tastes strange when offered to you. Dreams of storms, closed doors, or being chased often symbolize turbulence and resistance around your path. On the flip side, dreams of keys, light, or standing on higher ground may confirm that you are close to a breakthrough, but must first pass through a test. Writing these images down matters. Even when the meaning isn't clear at first, reviewing them later often reveals patterns you might have missed. Then there's intuition, that quiet but persistent voice within. Unlike fear, which shouts with panic, intuition speaks with calm certainty. On or before September 19, you may feel nudged to avoid a certain conversation, delay a meeting, or keep silent when normally you would speak. These gut feelings aren't accidents. They're protective alarms designed to steer you away from the trap. Ignoring them often leads to regret, while following them creates alignment and safety. The challenge is that intuition rarely explains itself in full sentences. It simply says, "Don't go," or "Wait." And because it doesn't offer a detailed reason, people often dismiss it. But history is full of stories where following an unexplainable nudge saved someone from harm, while ignoring it led to unnecessary pain. Chosen ones must learn to honor that inner compass, even when logic argues against it. You may also notice synchronicities, numbers, repeating signs, or unusual encounters. Perhaps you keep seeing the same phrase online, or the same dream repeats itself 2 nights in a row. These are not coincidences, they're spiritual confirmations that you're being guided. The closer you are to a test, the stronger these signs appear, almost as if the universe is flashing warning lights to keep you alert. Dreams and intuition, then, are not soft or secondary tools. They are frontline defenses. They give you glimpses into the spiritual battlefield before you step into it. By paying attention, you position yourself to respond with wisdom instead of regret. On September 19, the trap will not come without warning. The question is, will you recognize the signals when they appear? One of the most unsettling truths about spiritual tests is that they rarely come from strangers. They come through the people closest to you, the ones you trust, confide in, and rely on. That's what makes them so powerful. A stranger's insult may sting for a moment, but the words of a friend or family member can echo for weeks. On September 19, the dangerous test may very well involve the people you least expect. Why does this happen? Because the closer someone is to your heart, the easier it is for them to influence your emotions and decisions. The enemy of progress doesn't waste time using people who have no access to you. Instead, it works through proximity. The very ones who share your table, your secrets, or your dreams can sometimes become the channel for discouragement, betrayal, or distraction. Think of history. Joseph was betrayed not by outsiders, but by his own brothers. Jesus was handed over not by distant enemies, but by Judas, one of the 12 who walked with him daily. These stories echo a truth chosen ones know too well. Betrayal doesn't come dressed as an enemy. It comes wearing the familiar face of someone you trusted. This doesn't mean everyone close to you is against you. It means that intimacy creates vulnerability, and vulnerability requires discernment. On or around September 19, you might notice unusual tension with someone close. Maybe a loved one suddenly grows cold. Maybe a friend pressures you to share more than you should. Or maybe someone subtly plants seeds of doubt about your path, cloaking it in concern. These are not random interactions. They may be the very trap designed to shake your confidence. The key is not to become paranoid or isolate yourself completely. The lesson is balance. Not everyone in your circle deserves access to your deepest visions, especially during spiritually sensitive times. Guarding your words and watching how people react to your growth can reveal more than direct confrontation ever will. Sometimes silence exposes truth faster than speaking. You may also notice that this test doesn't always look like outright betrayal. It can appear as distraction, someone close pulling you into unnecessary arguments or drama. It can appear as manipulation, guilt tripping you into choices that delay your progress. And at times, it can appear as subtle flattery, someone encouraging you toward paths that feel good but aren't aligned with your destiny. The role of close relationships in this test is simple but sobering. The trap often hides where your guard is lowest. On September 19, pay attention to the interactions that stir your spirit uneasily. Love your people, but guard your vision. Trust, but verify. And remember, true relationships will never feel like chains around your purpose. Words are powerful. They can build, but they can also expose. And for chosen ones, one of the most common traps during critical spiritual tests is the urge to speak too soon, to reveal too much, or to confide in the wrong person. On September 19, this may be the very snare waiting for you, not a dramatic confrontation, but a simple conversation where your own words become the open door to sabotage. Think about it, every vision, every dream, every breakthrough begins as a seed. A seed doesn't survive if it's constantly dug up and shown to others before it takes root. The same is true for your calling. When you speak about your next steps prematurely, you expose them to doubt, envy, and resistance. Not everyone who listens is listening with pure intentions. Some are listening to imitate, some to discourage, and some to twist what you've said into something harmful. The trap of words isn't always obvious. It might look like a friendly chat where someone presses you with, "So, what's next for you?" Or it could come through flattery, where someone makes you feel safe enough to share your plans, only for those words to later work against you. Even subtle venting can backfire. The person you thought was a confidant may pass your frustrations along to others, turning small cracks into open wounds. Why is this trap so dangerous? Because words, once released, cannot be taken back. They carry energy, they shape perception, and in the hands of the wrong person, your words can be twisted into tools of delay or destruction. Many people don't fall because of enemies, they fall because they trusted the wrong ears. This is why wisdom teaches that silence is strength. Great breakthroughs are often carried in silence until the moment of manifestation. Look at nature. A seed doesn't announce itself while it's growing underground. It only reveals itself once it breaks through the soil. If you share too soon, you risk killing the seed before it ever has a chance to sprout. On September 19, one of the clearest traps may be this: a conversation that feels casual but is actually fishing for your secrets. Resist the urge to overshare. Protect your plans, your visions, and your inner battles. Not everyone needs to know what you're working on, praying about, or struggling with. Words are currency, and you must spend them wisely. The test is simple but sharp. Will you guard your tongue, or will you hand over your destiny with your own confessions? Passing this test requires restraint, because sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing at all. Silence is often misunderstood. To many, it feels like weakness, avoidance, or passivity. But for the chosen ones, silence is not emptiness, it is strategy. It is the invisible shield that protects what is sacred from being trampled, twisted, or stolen. If words are seeds, then silence is the soil that keeps them safe until they are ready to bloom. On September 19, when the atmosphere carries heightened energy and hidden traps, silence may be your greatest defense. There's a reason why so many spiritual traditions highlight the power of keeping things private. Ancient wisdom reminds us that not every blessing should be announced, not every vision should be broadcast, and not every struggle should be shared. When you are silent, you remove the enemy's ammunition. You leave no loose words for others to misinterpret, no premature revelations for jealousy to attack. Silence allows you to move with clarity while confusion swirls around you. Consider how powerful silence really is. A king planning war does not declare his strategy to the opposing side. An inventor does not reveal the blueprint while it is still incomplete. Even nature itself grows in quiet. The tree develops roots deep underground before showing a single leaf above the soil. Growth happens in stillness, not in constant announcement. Silence is not a lack of movement. It is the hidden preparation that makes true progress possible. The trap of September 19 may tempt you to speak when you should remain still. Perhaps someone provokes you into an argument, pressing you to defend yourself, or a friend insists you open up about plans you sense are not ready to be shared. The test here isn't about the words themselves. It's about whether you can resist the pull to reveal what should remain hidden. Silence is the higher choice, not because you are afraid, but because you are wise enough to know timing is everything. There's also another layer to silence. It protects your energy. Every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't truly understand, you drain yourself. Every time you justify your vision to someone who doesn't believe in it, you shrink its power. Silence keeps your spirit focused and your energy unscattered. It teaches you to value your own voice so deeply that you won't waste it where it won't be honored. On September 19, silence won't just keep you safe, it will keep you aligned. The loudest victories are often born in quiet preparation, and when the time is right, your results will speak louder than any explanation you could have given. If there's one battlefield where most chosen ones face the fiercest struggle, it's not in the outside world, it's inside their own emotions. On September 19, one of the clearest traps may not come through obvious betrayal or temptation, but through subtle emotional manipulation. This is why emotional triggers are so dangerous. They bypass your logic and go straight for your heart. Have you noticed how easy it is to lose focus when someone presses the right button? A single insult can undo a week of inner peace. A sudden argument can drain the energy you need for your real purpose. That's not accidental, it's design. Emotional manipulation works because it tricks you into reacting rather than responding. And once you react, you lose control. On a day charged with spiritual intensity like September 19, triggers may come suddenly. Perhaps someone close to you dredges up an old wound during a conversation. Maybe you're provoked into defending yourself in a situation that doesn't even deserve your energy. Or you might find yourself caught in guilt, shame, or fear because someone cleverly knows how to push those buttons. In every case, the trap is the same: to pull you out of alignment by making you fight battles that aren't yours. The danger here isn't the conflict itself, it's the distraction it creates. Every time you waste energy on proving yourself, arguing, or defending what doesn't need defense, you weaken your focus for the true test. The enemy doesn't need to destroy your path if it can simply exhaust you before you walk it. So how do you overcome emotional manipulation? First, by recognizing the pattern. Triggers lose power the moment you see them for what they are. If you notice someone always stirs anger, jealousy, or guilt in you, understand that their words are bait. You don't have to bite. Second, practice pausing. A pause creates space between what you feel and how you act. That space is where wisdom lives. Third, remember that silence can be an answer. Not every accusation deserves a rebuttal, and not every insult deserves a return strike. Think of your emotions like a fortress. If you leave the gate open, anything can walk in and wreak havoc. But if you guard it, if you decide that not every knock deserves an answer, you protect your energy for what actually matters. Passing this test isn't about pretending emotions don't exist. It's about mastering them instead of being mastered by them. On September 19, expect the trap to tug at your feelings. Expect the push to argue, to lash out, or to prove yourself. And when it happens, remind yourself, a trigger is not a command. It's an invitation, and you have the power to decline. Not every trap comes as conflict or betrayal. Some are much quieter, almost invisible, because they look harmless on the surface. These are distractions, the sneaky thieves of time and focus. On September 19, one of the greatest dangers you may face isn't what you lose in one dramatic moment, but what slowly slips away through little interruptions that keep you from what really matters. Distractions are dangerous precisely because they don't feel threatening. Spending an hour scrolling endlessly through your phone, answering a call that turns into pointless gossip, or suddenly being pulled into someone else's drama, all of these seem small in the moment. But add them together and you've lost the very energy you needed to pass the test. The trap here is subtle. If the enemy can't defeat you outright, it will simply waste you. Time stealers often show up right before a breakthrough. Notice how, when you're about to make progress, something urgent suddenly demands your attention, an unnecessary errand, a last-minute invitation. Even your own thoughts may conspire, tempting you to procrastinate, reorganize things that don't need reorganizing, or chase tasks that feel busy but lead nowhere. These are not coincidences, they are designed detours. The danger is that chosen ones often carry hearts that want to help others, so they're more vulnerable to distractions disguised as responsibilities. Someone may suddenly lean on you for advice, not because they truly need it, but because the timing pulls you away from your focus. Or you may feel obligated to step into a situation that isn't yours to solve. The result, your time, your most precious resource, is drained on battles that aren't even connected to your destiny. So how do you guard against these traps? By sharpening discernment. Before giving your time or energy, pause and ask, does this align with my purpose right now? Will this matter tomorrow, or is it simply stealing from the present? If the answer points to distraction, it's okay to say no. Protecting your time isn't selfish, it's stewardship. Think of your energy like a lamp. If you keep pouring oil into fires that don't belong to you, you'll have nothing left when your own light is needed. The trap of distractions wants you tired, unfocused, and unprepared. But when you recognize the pattern, you reclaim your power. On September 19, expect small interruptions to feel louder than usual. Expect sudden invitations, endless scrolling, or unnecessary conversations to pull at you. And remember, not every open door is meant to be walked through. Sometimes the holiest act is not saying yes, it's choosing the discipline of no. There's a pattern that repeats itself in the lives of chosen ones. The fiercest resistance always comes right before the greatest reward. The darkest night falls just before dawn, and September 19 carries that very pattern. It is not just a random test, it is the final test before breakthrough. The weight you may feel isn't proof that you're failing, it's proof that you are close to crossing into something new. Throughout history, every elevation has been guarded by trials. Joseph had to endure betrayal and prison before he could rise to power in Egypt. David had to face years of exile before he could wear the crown. Even in everyday life, many people discover that the moment they are about to experience a breakthrough, life suddenly feels heavier, more chaotic, and full of unexpected obstacles. Why? Because destiny is never handed out without preparation. The final test ensures you are strong enough to carry what comes next. This test doesn't arrive to shame you or to make you doubt yourself. Its purpose is refining. Think of it like fire shaping gold. Only intense heat can reveal what is pure and remove what doesn't belong. In the same way, this final test presses against your weakest points, not to destroy you, but to reveal the strength that has been developing all along. The challenge, however, is that when you're in the middle of it, the test rarely looks like preparation. It feels like pressure, discouragement, or even abandonment. You may ask yourself, why now? Why this battle when I've already been through so much? But that question itself is the clue. You wouldn't face such pressure if there wasn't something greater on the other side. The heaviness is not a sign of failure, it's the labor pains of birth. On September 19, expect the test to feel personal. It will target the very areas you've been growing in. If you've learned patience, the test may push you toward frustration. If you've practiced discernment, it may come disguised as a tempting shortcut. If you've committed to protecting your vision, the test may arrive as pressure to reveal it. Each moment is designed to measure not your weakness, but your readiness. The good news, passing the test doesn't require perfection, it requires persistence. You don't need to respond flawlessly. You just need to stay steady, resist the bait, and hold firm to the lessons you've already learned. The final test doesn't ask, are you perfect? It asks, are you ready? And readiness is proven not in grand gestures, but in consistent choices to stay aligned with your calling. So when September 19 feels heavy, don't despair. Let that weight remind you, the breakthrough is near, and the test is the final door you must walk through to reach it. Awareness is half the victory. The more clearly you can recognize the trap, the less likely you are to fall for it. On September 19, the test will not always come with obvious warning signs. It may slip into your day through ordinary events that feel harmless. That's why it's important to know the practical red flags, the subtle patterns that reveal when the trap is near. One common sign is sudden conflict out of nowhere. A peaceful day may erupt into arguments or tension without reason. Maybe a colleague takes offense at something small, or a loved one seems unusually irritable. These moments are bait. The trap is not the conflict itself, it's your reaction. If you waste your energy fighting battles that don't matter, you lose focus for the real breakthrough. Another sign is temptations that arrive at just the wrong time. This could be an invitation, an offer, or even a distraction that feels strangely convenient. For example, when you've committed to focus on your goals, someone might suddenly invite you into an opportunity that looks shiny but has no alignment with your purpose. It's not coincidence. It's a test to see if you will trade the long-term reward for short-term pleasure. A third sign is pressure to reveal your secrets or plans. Someone may casually ask what you're working on or encourage you to just share what's in your heart. It may feel innocent, but if you sense hesitation inside, trust that. The trap often comes through conversations that feel safe on the surface, but open doors for sabotage once words are released. You may also notice old patterns resurfacing. Perhaps habits you thought you left behind suddenly look appealing again. Maybe people from your past reappear, asking for your time or drawing you back into cycles you've already outgrown. These aren't random visits. They're tests to see if you truly learn the lessons or if you're still vulnerable to the old traps. Lastly, watch for overwhelming distractions. Technology glitches, unexpected delays, or back-to-back interruptions may try to derail your focus. On an ordinary day, these might feel minor, but around September 19, they may pile up unusually fast. That's a sign the atmosphere is charged and your attention is under attack. The truth is, the trap rarely looks dangerous at first. It often looks ordinary, comfortable, or even friendly. But when you pause and notice the timing, the intensity, and the pull it creates, you'll recognize it for what it is. The practical signs are there: sudden conflict, convenient temptation, pressured confessions, old habits calling, endless distractions. When these show up, don't panic. Smile inwardly and say to yourself, "I see you, and I won't fall for you." Recognizing the trap is only the first step. The real power lies in knowing how to respond when it appears. September 19 may bring distractions, conflicts, or temptations, but none of these have the ability to defeat you unless you hand over your strength. Passing the test doesn't mean you'll handle everything perfectly. It means you'll stay aligned, even when pressure rises. The first key is discernment. Pay attention to the inner nudge that tells you something is off. If a conversation feels forced, if an offer seems too convenient, or if an argument feels pointless, trust that instinct. Discernment often whispers while the trap shouts. Slow down, breathe, and ask yourself, does this align with my purpose, or is it pulling me away from it? The second key is discipline. Even when you know what's right, the challenge is choosing it in the moment. This means saying no to distractions, resisting the urge to overshare, and walking away from conflicts that would drain your energy. Discipline isn't about denying yourself joy, it's about protecting your focus for what really matters. The test isn't just about what you avoid, it's about what you prioritize. The third key is delayed reaction. One of the most powerful tools chosen ones can use is the pause. Not every message needs an immediate reply. Not every provocation deserves an instant reaction. By pausing, you give yourself time to see clearly and respond with wisdom instead of impulse. Sometimes the smartest answer is silence, and sometimes the strongest move is waiting until the emotion fades before acting. The fourth key is spiritual grounding. Whether you pray, meditate, or practice mindfulness, anchoring yourself daily creates inner stability. On a day as charged as September 19, 5 minutes of centering yourself in the morning could be the difference between peace and chaos. When your spirit is calm, traps lose their grip. Finally, the most important key is perspective. Remember that the test is not punishment, it's preparation. When something tries to throw you off, remind yourself, this is proof that I'm close to breakthrough. That mindset turns frustration into fuel and transforms resistance into confirmation. You're not being targeted because you're weak. You're being tested because you're strong enough to carry what's next. Passing the test doesn't require perfection. It requires awareness, discipline, and the courage to hold steady when everything tries to shake you. If you can remain calm in conflict, focused in distraction, and silent in temptation, you will pass. And when you pass, the reward isn't just survival, it's elevation. Every test has a purpose, and for the chosen ones, the trials of September 19 are not without reward. The traps, the distractions, the emotional triggers, they are not random punishments. They are gateways, and when you pass through them, something shifts. You don't just survive the day, you step into a new level of clarity, strength, and opportunity that would not have opened otherwise. One of the first rewards is clarity. Tests have a way of shaking loose what doesn't belong. When you resist distractions, you suddenly see more clearly which relationships are genuine and which ones were only taking up space. When you choose silence over oversharing, you realize who presses for your secrets and who respects your boundaries. That clarity is priceless. It helps you protect your energy and walk forward with greater focus. Another reward is spiritual strength. Just as lifting weights builds muscle, enduring pressure builds resilience. When you hold your peace in conflict or guard your focus against distractions, you're not just winning a battle, you're training your spirit. The strength you build in passing this test won't leave you when September 19 ends. It will stay with you for the next stage of your journey. There is also the reward of alignment. Passing the test proves to the universe and to yourself that you are ready for what's next. Opportunities that once seemed delayed often appear quickly after a season of testing. Doors open, connections align. The blessings that were being prepared for you begin to flow because you've shown you can carry them with wisdom. And perhaps the greatest reward is peace. Not the fragile peace that comes from everything going your way, but the deep, unshakable peace that comes from knowing you stood firm when it mattered most. That peace cannot be bought, and it cannot be faked. It is the quiet confidence that reminds you, I passed the test. I didn't fall for the trap. I am stronger than I thought. So don't see September 19 as something to dread. See it as an opportunity disguised as resistance. Yes, the test may sting. Yes, it may press on your weak points, but every trap you avoid, every word you withhold, every distraction you overcome is a step closer to your breakthrough. The trap is only temporary, the reward is lasting. When you look back, you won't remember the heaviness of the test as much as the freedom of the breakthrough. September 19 will not be the day you fell, it will be the day you proved to yourself that you could rise.